Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Good morning, NFC East, and welcome to another Football Friday. Once again, Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports here with you today. I got to write a lot of NFC East stuff yesterday, some of the stuff I mentioned on this show. But I wanted to get into this that developed before we get into Eagles Commanders here. Jerry Jones was a quarterback controversy in Dallas. What is he, insane? This is his reasoning. So, obviously, the Cowboys want Cooper Rush to play well because they want to stay in the NFC East race. Fine, I understand that. But Jerry Jones wants a full-blown Philadelphia, Carson Wentz, Nick Foles quarterback controversy. You know, the one where the Eagles won with Carson Wentz, but then they won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. Then Carson Wentz plays okay, and then, you know, obviously he's playing hurt. The Eagles are 6 and 7. Nick Foles comes in, wins the last 3 games, wins the playoff game. That type of quarterback controversy. Because that means the Cowboys are winning, according to Jerry Jones. He's insane. He is absolutely insane. You just paid the guy $40 million to be their quarterback. When the Eagles had this type of thing, Carson Wentz wasn't paid yet. Jerry Jones wants Cooper Rush to basically unseat Dak Prescott. The next Tony Romo, the next undrafted superstar. There was no quarterback controversy, by the way, when Tony Romo became the quarterback at the Cowboys. Once they moved to Tony Romo, that was it. That was the end of Drew Bledsoe. That was it. The Cowboys struggled at quarterback for years with Quincy Carter, and he had his issues and was out of the league. Vinny Testaverde, Drew Bledsoe. Remember Chad Hutchinson, I think, was in that mix at some point. Maybe he was before them. But then they eventually went to Romo, and they never looked back. They've had pretty much, 15, 16 years of quarterback peace between Tony Romo and Dak Prescott? It's a good problem to have. Now you want a quarterback controversy because your team's so irrelevant, you can't win anything? Is this what you're going to do? You want a quarterback controversy so guys like Jeff Kerr can write about you? Fine, I'm all ears. Absolutely. You want to do that? Fine, Jerry. See the repercussions of that for your franchise. You're paying the guy $40 million and you want him in a quarterback controversy. You want his job questioned. There is no quarterback controversy in Dallas. It's Dak Prescott. I don't care how well Cooper Rush plays. It's Dak Prescott. And he played well last Sunday. I don't think he played great by any standards. It's great in the first quarter, but then they had the same inconsistent problems on offense. Dallas won that game because of their defense, not because of Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush made some big throws on that last drive, but Dallas won that game because of their defense. Jerry's insane. He's just insane. So he said he would walk to New York to get that quarterback controversy. He wants Cooper Rush to play well against the New York Giants on Monday night. So we can talk about this. I was thinking of maybe bringing it up at some point, but no, there is no quarterback controversy in Dallas. There isn't any. It's Jerry Jones. It's Dak Prescott. Ezekiel Elliott shot down too, by the way. He said, who knows if the media actually believes it. He's just giving you all something to write about. It's all marketing. Yeah, it is all marketing. It is all marketing. It really is. You can't go through life in the NFL with quarterback controversies. Not every quarterback controversy is Joe Montana, Steve Young. You got the Doug Flutie, Rob Johnsons of the world. in that mix. You got the Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett's of the world. By the way, let's get into that Thursday night game for a second. Why is Mitch Trubisky the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? This is 3 games now. He has absolutely sucked on par for his career. Everybody says how well he did with the Bears. I didn't see it. I just saw a product of the modern NFL when he put up stats. Yeah, 6 touchdown game once. Mitch Trubisky is not good. Not saying the Steelers' play calling has been any better either, and their offensive line's been better. I still know what Matt Canada actually provides that offense as a play caller. I don't think the offensive line protects Trubisky enough. He only seems to go to DeAndre Johnson. Oh, okay, Deontay Johnson. Sorry, it's 7 a.m. Yeah, Deontay Johnson. That's the only guy he seems to go to. George Pickens says he's open 9 out of 10 times. Well, yeah, if you saw that catch last night, even when he's not open, he makes plays. Chase Claypool needs to get the ball more. Pat Freiermuth needs to get the ball more. Steelers don't open the ball up to their tight ends enough. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sold on Mitch Trubisky. I'm not. Stinks. Should have never started with him to begin with. I don't think they're going to go to Kenny Pickett anytime soon, though. They got the mini bye, then they play the Jets. I just don't see them going to Mitch Trubisky. They have to win week 4, by the way, if Pittsburgh wants to stay in this. Because I don't think Baltimore's going anywhere. Cleveland's 2-1. Probably should be 3-0. Should be 3-0 with Jacoby Brissett. If I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I am feeling a lot better about my football team today. A lot better. Because the truth of the matter is, they should be 3-0. They blew a 13-point lead to the Jets with under 2 minutes left. Should never have happened. Jacoby Brissett's been fine. More than fine. He's running the offense well. You have Nick Chubb, you have Kareem Hunt. Look, I'm glad Cleveland got a franchise quarterback, by the way. I just don't like the franchise quarterback they got because of his transgressions. They sold out. They sold out. They could have won this year with Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett, whoever. They're proving that. I think they're truly going to be 6-5 when Deshaun Watson comes back. But I get why they got the franchise quarterback, because now they're Super Bowl contenders. Whether you like Deshaun Watson or not, or anything he's done, his talent on the field is undeniable, even though he hasn't played in 2 years. They're going to be Super Bowl contenders if they keep this up. If they win 2 out of every 3 games. That is what? 8-4? 7-4? Because Deshaun Watson will be back by their 12th game. So 7-4, they're in great shape. They'll be in great shape if they keep that pace up. And they should be 3-0. Nick Chubb is a beast. Kareem Hunt runs the ball hard. Amari Cooper is the playmaker they need. By the way, Dallas, you guys are idiots getting rid of Amari Cooper. Absolute idiots. First Browns wide receiver since 2013 to have back-to-back 100-yard receiving games? Amari Cooper, making a difference in that offense. Donovan Peoples-Jones makes plays. Oh, Dallas. Every bad thing just seems to come back. We'll preview Dallas Giants a little bit. Maybe later in the show. We got Monday to do that too, by the way. But we got to break down some Eagles Commanders here, guys. I think Jalen Hurts, in my honest opinion, is going to feast on Sunday. I think what you saw Monday night against the Vikings, you might see something similar Sunday. Because this defense is worse than the Vikings. They can game plan all they want. They can force Jalen Hurts to throw. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Eagles will be able to run the ball off this team, and they will be able to throw the ball off this team. And I'll be shocked if they don't. I know it's a week-to-week league. But from what I saw from the Washington Commanders, watching their first 2 games, and I've watched them multiple times, it is bad. Their defense is bad. Kendall Fuller is struggling in coverage. It's their starting quarterback. DJ Chark dropped a long touchdown pass last week, or his overall coverage numbers would have been worse. He is really having problems with the receiver, seeing the football. Bobby McCain, the safety who plays next to Cam Curl, he's been struggling in coverage. They didn't have Cam Curl last week, by the way. I think that's going to be a major difference for them if Cam Curl's able to play Sunday. He'll probably be listed as questionable, but we'll see. But Bobby McCain's been struggling. The whole secondary's been struggling. William Jackson, their other starter. This is his numbers for this year. 9 catches on 10 targets. So he's been targeted 10 times, and he's allowed 9 catches. 137 yards, 15.2 yards per catch, and abysmal 152.1 passer rating quarterbacks have when they target him. You don't think the Eagles are going to try to feast on that? They're going to feast on this secondary. But they're blaming guys like Jamin Davis, Cole Holcomb. Cole Holcomb hasn't gotten much of the blame, but Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, their defense coordinator, has blamed Jamin Davis. And he responded to that in kind on Instagram in a since deleted post. It's a movie clip if you want to check it out. Just search Jamin Davis on Twitter. You'll thank me later. It's fun. It's a funny movie clip from a funny movie. And his teammates liked it a lot. So they know Jamin Davis isn't the source of their struggles. They're all struggling. This is just in pass coverage. Now you got running the football. The Eagles have the number 1 rush offense in the NFL since last year. Shane Steichen does a brilliant job of mixing up the pass and the run and having creative run designs. Yeah, Washington can't tackle. They're having trouble up front. They really miss Matt Ioannidis, who's with the Carolina Panthers now. They really miss Tim Settle. He's not there anymore. He's in Buffalo. I'm pretty sure he's in Buffalo. I got to remember that, but I'm pretty sure he's in Buffalo. Again, 7 a.m. But they really miss those two. Badly. Badly in the run defense. Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne are good. They're good pass rushing tackles. They really miss Matt Ioannidis and Tim Settle. They were their run stoppers. Montez Sweat's pretty good against the run, but again, with no Chase Young there, he's kind of the guy work on stopping. Their defensive line is still good, don't get me wrong, but they really miss those players. So they're having oodles and oodles of trouble against the run. Eagles offense might score a bunch on Sunday. They might. If they play to their capability, they should. Jalen Hurts should have another good game. I saw someone comment, not on the live stream yesterday, someone put a comment on my Twitter saying, this is how dumb people are, by the way, some people. The Vikings let Jalen Hurts throw the ball in the middle of the field because they know he can't throw. Yeah, they did. And they paid for it big time. Jalen Hurts has the highest yards per attempt in the league. Jalen Hurts leads the league in yards per attempt on passes toward the middle of the field. It's over 12. He's second in the league in percentage of balls thrown to his left. So everything you could criticize Jalen Hurts for is out the window. What now, haters? And the ones that do hate now, you're fans of another team. They're just morons. I don't see it on here. I don't see it from you guys. You guys have been pretty much rational. It's the people who want attention are trying to get a response out of me. And all they're going to get is a stat to make them look like a fool. Jalen Hurts has been really good the first 2 weeks. He should be able to continue that on Sunday. I do think the Eagles are going to win this game Sunday. I think Carson Wentz will play well enough. I just don't know if the Commanders will score a lot of points or I should say 30 points because they're very inconsistent. It's a very inconsistent offense, as you saw in the first half against Detroit if you watch the game Sunday, as you saw in times against Jacksonville, but it's a very good offense. They're still trying to put everything together. It's early. You got to really like what you're seeing out of the Commanders offense, though. If you're a Commanders fan, you really like what you're getting out of Carson Wentz right now. Okay, guys, so we got special guests today. We got Anthony Armstrong, former wide receiver for Washington, played with Donovan McNabb, had a really good year in 2010. played for Dallas Cowboys at one point in his career. We're going to have him on. We're going to preview Eagles Commanders. We're going to preview NFC East. Anthony Armstrong from Blev on Commanders. I think that's how you say it. I think it's Blev, but he's a podcast host there. We're going to have some good conversation right after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Welcome to Pondley Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pondley Hockey a call.
Guys, you got Anthony Armstrong. By the way, is it Blev or Blev?
It's Believe. It's Believe.
Okay.
So it's okay. I'm gonna let the first one slide, Jeff. All right. Next one now. We may have to fight.
Oh, of course. Well, by the way, I have haunting memories of you catching long passes against the Eagles. By the way, that 2010 year. So I think
that
we're all
was fun.
Yeah. So before we start here, what was it like playing with Donovan Mcnabb? Just out of curiosity.
Oh man, at the time, I mean, shoot, it was a dream come true. I mean, my path to the NFL was very off the beaten path, and so to have the opportunity to get Donovan traded to Washington, I was just like, oh man, I want to be his Deshaun Jackson for whenever he makes it into the burgundy and gold, and I was able to do that, catch a few passes. So it was really cool to play ball with Donovan and have him throw me a few passes.
Yeah, I mean, we love Donovan McNabb. His 11 years in Philly. I mean, to me, I was shocked when the whole benching went down with him because I still thought he had some game left and maybe he just wasn't in the right scheme because he was only like 32, 33 years old at the time.
Yeah, I shoot it. That was definitely above my pay grade. I know that much. I mean, I was just wanting to have somebody be consistent. I think Donovan still had a little bit of learning to go with that offense, but there may have been a little bit of disagreement between the OC and him. I'm not sure. I was like 54 out of the 53 on that roster, I felt. So, I wasn't in any position to get too upset. I mean, hell, you had Rex Grossman throwing the ball as well, so he was a Super Bowl quarterback also. So both guys, I wasn't too upset with.
Who was the OC at the time? It wasn't Kyle Shanahan yet, was it?
It was Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, it was Kyle.
Okay. Yeah, that's that staff that had Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and then a little bit later on, Mike McDaniels, he came around. So there have been a lot of really good coaches come through the doors in Ashburn.
Yeah, I respect the heck out of Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel. I'm loving what they're doing in the league right now. But, yeah, that's a crazy coaching staff to learn from. You think about it. Did you ever think maybe Sean McVay is going to be a head coach? What was he, like a tight ends coach at the time there?
When I first met Sean, he was just an offensive assistant. He was assisting John Embry with the tight ends. And then when Coach Embry went to Colorado, Sean was elevated to the head tight end position. And he had those guys so prepared. And I mean, not saying Coach Embry didn't, but you noticed that these guys were taking tests before their meetings, before the games, and it showed on the field. Those guys were so much more prepared than previous years. And it's all from how Sean was able to get those guys ready to play and get the most out of them. So it didn't surprise me that he was one of the youngest coaches to be a head coach and then to make it to the Super Bowl in such a short time. I mean, it was just the ultimate culmination of all his hard work all those years.
It's a shame, too, what happened in Washington with that coaching staff and the RG3 injury, because it felt like they had the makings of something really special there. And, I mean, obviously, we all know the end result, but I just felt like maybe they forced him back into that playoff game a little too soon. Because if I remember correctly, he had the sprained MCL, I think it was Baltimore. He injured it, and he just kind of kept grinding through it.
Yeah, it was that Baltimore hit. I know it was Haloti Ngata. It was just like a boulder, a huge giant of a man. Ended up hitting his knee when he was diving for a play. And, those are some tough decisions. Obviously, hindsight, you would say you probably don't play him in that situation. I mean, I wish that Robert would have had an off season where he was able to just be able to work at being a quarterback. He had a lot of times where he was just coming off of injuries, and the main focus was to rehab. I think that he had, a high ceiling in the league. He just needed to be able to work more at that position to get used to reading coverages and just navigating the offense in the way that the game was played.
It's crazy, too, because if he would have came in the league, say, 2022, he probably would have video game type numbers. They would have been like Lamar coming in and just wrecking havoc on the league. He probably would have won an MVP. I mean, how much do you think the game has changed from even 10 years ago to now?
My goodness, it's changed so much, and especially living in Texas and covering some high school football over the past few years, you see those type of same spread schemes work their way up into the NFL. It seems a little weird, but back in the past, you wouldn't have never thought to have multiple quarterbacks at and around 6'1" that are starting in the NFL. But now that's a common thing. I mean, going under center, very rare. You don't see that very often. Looking at teams like Philly's in the shotgun all day. Washington spends a lot of time in shotgun. Arizona as well. So the games have definitely changed. It's about spreading the field out, getting the ball to your playmakers in space, and that's where the game is now. Whereas before it was run the ball, set up the play action. And some teams still do that, but you could tell a lot of teams are starting to make that transition to the spread.
Who was the best high school player you've seen covering high school football in Texas?
Oh man, let's see.
There's a lot.
Wow. There's a lot. I mean, shoot, I remember seeing Baron Browning play. That was my first year to actually cover some games. And Baron Browning in high school, Nick Saban was at that game. So there was already a buzz in the building. But this guy was just standing over everybody. He just was dominating everybody across the field. Another guy, I think he's at OU right now, running back. Goodness gracious.
Oh,
What's
yes.
his?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too.
The running back, I cannot think of his name. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. But either way, he was taking every run to the house, and it would be 3rd and 20, and they would still hand the ball off to him, and he would still go and get the first down. And another guy coming out of, he's probably in Arkansas now, plays safety, Jalen Catalon. Maybe a lesser known guy, little known guy, but that guy is all around the football. So, those are a couple of young guys that are kind of working their way up into the league.
Yeah, speaking of Texas players high school players that came out of Texas, Jalen Hurts was one of them. And I still remember hearing about him. This was like, maybe, 6-7 years ago. And what he was able to do there, 5-star recruit, goes to Alabama, has a pretty good career there, pretty good career in Oklahoma. Now he's tearing it up with the Eagles. What have been your thoughts on watching Jalen Hurts from the opponent's viewpoint?
I'm impressed at how he's taken a step in the league so far. And if it wasn't for a guy in Buffalo, you'd put Jalen Hurts' name in the MVP conversation. I mean, sure, he's only got one touchdown pass, but if you look at the way that he's handling the offense and he's navigating things, he's in the most control. And they've done a great job at building around him, offensively and defensively. I mean, you think adding Hassan Reddick doesn't make a big difference on offense, but it does. Adding Chadney Gardner-Johnson, adding James Bradbury, it helps you be a little bit more aggressive on defense so you can get the ball back to Jalen Hurts in this offense. And he is definitely the spoon that stirs the pot, if you will, for this offense. And I'd love to see his maturation. It just sucks to have to play him twice a year.
Speaking of Washington, I know that, to me, I've been kind of impressed with what they've been able to do the first 2 weeks with how bad their defense has been. But overall, it seems like Carson might be the guy there long term.
It's definitely, it's been an impressive start. I have said it's probably, a 4 or 5, maybe 6 week thing before you see this offense really hit their full potential. And week 1, they came out a lot better than anyone anticipated. At first, people were saying, oh, it's just Jacksonville. Yeah, but Jacksonville just blanked somebody, so and sure, it's Indy, and you can say whatever you want, but you still got to give a little bit of respect to that. Jacksonville has some talented players. Now, you flip and see what they did, what Washington did against Detroit. It wasn't as impressive. It definitely showed some holes and showed some areas of improvement that this team still has to overcome. And those things can happen. So right now, they're a little bit ahead of the curve. They're hitting a little bit of early adversity, but I think that they're going to be okay moving forward. And if Carson can continue to just play solid football and not make any crazy mistakes. I mean, I think that's the main thing that everybody kind of waits for when it gets down to Carson Wentz is he going to make a big mistake? If he can limit those things and just continue to spread the ball around to the offense, I can see him being in Washington longer term.
What's crazy about the mistakes is it feels like it's when you send maybe 5 or 6 defenders at him, or, it's like a crazy blitz package is when he kind of forces the issue. Has he done that through 2 games in Washington?
He's been okay against the blitz. I think he's been blitzed about 34 times or so. He's got about 5 scrambles and been sacked, I think, about 7-8 times this year. So he's handled it okay. In week 1, he did all right. Week 2, it wasn't as good. I mean, the tough part is, early in the year, you don't know what everybody's going to do, especially if they're going to be bringing some new packages and some new looks. But having seen a lot of blitzes from Detroit, they can definitely anticipate that Philly is going to be equally as aggressive, if not more. So now you have some tape of bad blitz pickups. Let's clean that up, and then you can improve in week 2. So I mean, week 1, the Washington O-line gave him the most time to throw the ball, and he's had 2.8 seconds or so to get the ball off, which is pretty good in the league. It's more than Jalen, to say the least. But pressure is always going to kind of set some people off, and how he's able to handle that and quickly make it to his outlets are going to be huge.
So who the heck's going to play center Sunday?
Oh, man. Well, they just signed Nick Martin. He's a longtime vet, played with the Texans for a while. So it's good to have somebody who's been in the league and actually seen some of the different schemes and looks that could come out against them. So Nick Martin may be the guy that lines up. And then you have Wes Schweitzer as well, is somebody that, he's been on the injured report, but he may make his way in.
But that's good because, I mean, I thought Washington's O-line has been more than decent over the first 2 weeks. I love the tackles they have. It's better than most teams. But overall, though, how can I put this with this offense? I think Jahan Dotson just changes the game for them. I loved him, obviously, Penn State grad. Loved him coming out of Penn State. Thought whoever got him was getting a star player. He's a PA boy, too. So, I mean, your early thoughts on what Jahan Dotson's been able to do?
Jahan's almost like a Terry McLaurin clone. Like, he's just a similar size, smaller guy, very quiet, he doesn't talk too much. He just goes out there and does his job. Great route runner, great range, very rangy. He can catch the ball in pretty much any area as long as it's within his reach. So I'm very impressed with him. Very technical receiver. You don't usually see young receivers come in with that ability to run routes like that, and he does a really good job. So the sky's the limit. I mean, he's able to take advantage of the one-on-one coverage that he's going to see. Because he's definitely going to Terry McLaurin is going to take two. He's going to take a safety and a corner for the most part. And until those other receivers, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, can actually win one-on-one coverage, Terry's going to continue to see double coverage.
Yeah, Samuel, I thought was a big free agent sign for them last year. Obviously, he got hurt and never really got a chance to make an impact. But this year, you're seeing the difference there. And to me, it just with those three, Samuel, Dotson, McLaurin, it just feels like Carson Wentz is set up for a big year just from those three.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a very good offense, a lot of weapons that are set up for him to be successful. And like I said, it's just going to come down to him making good decisions and getting the ball to the right people. And frankly, too, it's going to come down to Scott Turner. I mean, how do you handle it? He's made the move down to the field from the booth. And I think that's been helpful to immediately communicate with Carson and the receivers, and everybody can get on the same page. If there's a play that they see that they think is going to be awesome and could potentially work, they're able to take advantage of that. So everybody working together is really going to help Carson improve and take control of this offense and potentially get this team into the playoffs at the end of the year.
It seems like, too, at the end of the year, the saga with Indianapolis, right? Obviously, they basically made Carson the scapegoat. Washington has done the exact opposite. Not saying they're treating him with kid gloves, but in my mind, they're doing all the right things. They're giving him the positive encouragement when he does make a bad play, or you hear the reports of, he had a bad training camp practice, which to me is ridiculous, by the way. I could get on that for hours. But it just seems like Ron Rivera, Jason Wright, basically Scott Turner, anybody you would – the players are just being overly positive, which is a good thing for him.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not – I don't think it's a false positivity either. I think that Carson has really shown that he's going to be a leader for this team. He's shown that he's ready to put in the work. He's shown that he's, trying to do the right things to help take this team to that next level. And you really do need to have that positivity around your guy. And I can say, whenever that trade first happened, I didn't jump over the moon. I wasn't like, oh, yeah, it's Carson. He didn't think he was going to be a savior or anything. But when we thought about it, he said, hey, look, it is an improvement at the position. It does give you the ability to throw the ball downfield, which is going to open up the offense. So just look at it as a positive situation and give him a chance to prove himself. Whenever you're walking in with baggage, everybody seems to expect you to perform in that same exact way. But had a great coach by the name of Danny Smith. He said that your past performances are not indicative of your future results, either good or bad. And it's the same thing that I look at with Carson Wentz. He can easily come out here, have a 3,500, 3,700 yard season, 20 some odd touchdowns, and he could have a good year in this offense.
I just went on a rant before you came on about how I think Jalen Hurts could feast off this defense come Sunday. Just from watching the first two games, the linebackers have been bad. Pass coverage, the secondary's been bad in coverage overall. Maybe that's because of the Lions offense. Maybe that's because of the scheme. I don't know, but it just seems like Washington's defense is really struggling to get a foot right.
That's true. It wouldn't be a bad assumption to make, or a bad, I don't know. You get what I'm saying. They haven't played to the standard that they want to. And sure, you can jump and say there's injuries. We got injuries. The D-line is a little bit battered up. Sure, you lost Vidarian Mathis for the year. He's on IR, but this is the NFL. Somebody's going to be hurt every week. It's next man up mentality. Now, personally, I do think the position that's really been hampering things, it has been that linebacker position. Definitely supportive of those guys, Cole Holcomb, Jamin Davis. They have a lot of talent. They just have to play a little bit better. You have to be able to cover and drop back into zones. Can't leave the gaps open versus play action. I'm sure there's going to be some opportunities for offense to make some plays, but going against Jalen Hurts, this is going to take a full on team effort, talented receivers outside. And I think that pass rush wise, they have to be able to kind of handle them like how teams would handle Russell Wilson in the past, understand which way you can only force him, make sure you kind of create a net and maintain solid pass rush lanes. That's going to be the way to be most successful with him. That way he doesn't carve up this Commanders defense.
What has been the controversy with Dave? I saw the Instagram post and I had to look in the whole Ron Rivera, whatever he said about Dave, which I didn't think was bad, but yet his teammates seem to agree. But it seems like Washington's kind of making him the scapegoat for why their defense is struggling.
Well, I mean, the one thing about the league, and it's like we just talked about Carson Wentz being extremely positive, and then on the other side, there are times where you have to call your player out, and a lot of does it happen in the media? That's usually where people start to get a little upset, is whenever it goes out into the media. And shoot, when I was playing, Mike Shanahan had mentioned my name to the media about my shortcomings on the field, and that caused a big old stir. But on the other side, you got to look at how you go and play. How are you going to react to this? They just said, hey, you didn't play very well on Sunday. Both head coach and defensive coordinator have said that. And if we're being real with it, you can look at the tape and say, yeah, I didn't play my best game on Sunday. Now, Jamin Davis against Detroit, he came back and he played a lot better. They gave him praise that he had been playing well. So it wasn't just like they bashed him and was just like, Jamin Davis is ruining this whole defense and he's the reason why. They were just saying, hey, he played good in training camp. He was doing good things in training camp. He took a step back in week 1. We need him to step his game back up. And I mean, they continue to put him in the game and give him opportunities. And hell, what better week to show up and make some plays and get people back on your side than going up against Jalen Hurts and Phillip?
Yeah, so when Mike Shanahan criticized you, did you take it personally? Did you just decide, oh, you know what, I'm just going to grind it out in practice? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, I heard about it through the media. So it was like, oh, he said that something about getting off of press. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, it's the first time I heard of it. But, it didn't change my way of, well, let's say it didn't change. I did go and continue work on releases and things of that nature. So you still work on those things. And you just got to go out and put good stuff back on tape. I mean, it's just, you get called out, you got to step up and do your thing. I mean, the NFL is just one of those leagues where there are very few times where you do actually get called out and say, hey, man, you need to step up. And that may be your sign that you ain't getting many more chances after this, right? So just step up and play. And I saw the post too, and I get it. It does get frustrating when you go on Twitter and people are bashing you and you seeing your name trending for all the wrong reasons, but I get it. I understand. Just show up. Just go play ball.
It's funny, too, because 10 years ago when you were playing, that wasn't really, social media was a thing, but it wasn't like it is now, oh, look at what Patrick Mahomes tweeted. Or, I know Jalen Hurts don't run his Twitter account, but everybody thinks Jalen Hurts tweets that stuff. Could you be able to deal with social media 10 years ago if it was as big as it is now?
Man, I tell you, I'm glad I'm at that perfect age where I've experienced some things, but just before it went absolutely crazy, I'm upset that I didn't invest in those things before they went crazy. But I don't feel sorry for players nowadays, just because how quickly things get out and how fast things can go. But there are a lot of opportunities for guys as well. So on the flip side, you can do some amazing things, and the contracts are a lot larger. So to deal with that much scrutiny for the opportunity to earn much more, I guess you got to deal with it, man. It's just part of the job that you chose.
You played for Dallas for a little bit, didn't you? What was it, 2012, I think you played for the Cowboys?
Yeah, 2012 and a little bit of training camp in 2013.
What was it like playing for Jerry Jones as your boss?
It was all good. Jerry takes care of his people, from the players to the support staff and the other media members. I mean, you look at the Thanksgiving Day game, Jerry puts on a whole spread for people, for the media, even the opposing media, whenever they're in the building. And that's one thing that you could say about Jerry Jones and that Cowboys organization. He's going to do it the right way. He's going to take care of his people. I've known plenty of guys who've been there, guys and gals that have been working there for over 10 plus years, 15 years. And it's pretty amazing to see. And you don't see that in a lot of NFL organizations.
Yeah, we call him a quote machine because I feel like he has something for me to write about every day. And the latest one is, "Oh, I want a quarterback controversy in Dallas." I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want that, Jerry. But I get it. And Zeke kind of shot that down, saying, "Well, yeah, he's just giving us something to write about. Who knows if he actually believes what he says?" But it is kind of funny though. Every time he speaks, you're like, "Okay, what's gonna pop out next?"
Well, it may be one. Jerry is a great businessman. He knows how to stay on that front page. He's going to definitely keep it interesting. I mean, shoot, hey, quarterback controversy. Hey, little bit of competition isn't anything. But I mean, like you said earlier, you got to step up in this league. And I know Dak being injured, it's unfortunate. The rest of the NFC East is not crying for the Cowboys. But when Dak comes back, hey, if Cooper Rush is flying high, Dallas is going to have to make a decision. Do we need to go back to Dak? But they definitely need to hand the ball back to Dak. Don't even start to get anything too fishy, Jerry. Just hand the keys back over to Dak.
Yeah, Jerry Jones gave a lot of positivity to the Eagles this week too, with Jalen Hurts. With that, I mean, who do you see as the team to beat right now in the NFC East?
Man, I tell you, number one, the Giants. I did not have them being 2-0 2 weeks into the season, so kudos to them. They're surprising me right now. I definitely want to see a few more weeks and see how they really are moving forward. I can say Philly is just they've been dominant in both games, and they are built in a way that it's almost like, well, pick your poison. Like, do you want to try to stop us in the passing game and play man? Because Jalen Hurts will run the ball on you. He has 90 yards in scrambles on the season, 14 total scrambles. He handles the blitz very well. So then you say, okay, well, how about this? We're going to play zone like Minnesota decided to do, and he just picks you apart and just meticulously move the offense down the field. So they're playing really, really well. And I think it takes a team effort. You got to find a way to get some special teams in there. But Philly's a tough team. They have everything going for them right now. Don't have a lot of injuries, and they got a lot of momentum.
So you would go with the Eagles. Then where would you put the Cowboys in all this?
Man, I tell you, when you take into account some of the major injuries that they have, you kind of have to take them out of the discussion for the time being until you see what they're going to look like when they come back. I think Washington at their best can definitely win the division, but after the first couple of weeks, you'd have to give the edge to Philly. And shoot, 2 and 3, you got to go Dallas, Washington, and New York are real close in the middle. Dallas, I'm going to hold off because it's tough to say when you don't have your starting quarterback and you don't have Tyron Smith at left tackle. They beat the Bengals, which was, I thought they were gonna cover, and they ended up winning. So they beat the Bengals, and that's a team that's got me a little confused. But right now, it's just almost too early. It's too early, but Philly is the one with the most momentum right now.
Did we buy stock in the Giants if they beat Dallas this week?
No, I wasn't all the way comfortable with it. And the fact that Cooper Rush played, pretty well. Hell, he's 2-0 in the league. So let's not, try to shoot down his abilities. But so there are certain times where when you have a quarterback that just runs the offense the way that it's supposed to be ran, that things seem to run smoother, right? Defenses can't study tape on Cooper Rush to understand what Cooper is thinking when he's throwing the ball, right? There's so much tape on Dak, so people can understand how Dak will, execute the offense. So right now, Cooper Rush is working off the fact that people don't really know what he's going to do. They got 2 games of tape, one from last year, and then they have one from this year. So I think that right there is going to be just enough to keep Dallas ahead. And plus, I think the rest of their team is overall better in comparison to what New York has. So that's my thought. And
do you think the Eagles beat Washington? Do you think Washington beats the? I mean, to me, it's going to be close. I think.
Yeah. So the spread was 6.5, and I mean, we're being real. I do think Philly has a superior team. I do think that they're better right now. And I think for Washington to win, is going to take a lot of things going right. You can't come out slow on offense. You have to find a way to convert third downs, and then you have to find a way to keep Jalen Hurts off the field and get him off the field on third down. Let me say that. They're such a pick your poison type of a team. Is Washington going to win? I'm going to say yes, because you're going to say the Eagles are going to win, because I know that's how that goes down.
I know I'm picking the Eagles, but I didn't make my super contest picks yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough battle. It's going to be a tough battle. If Washington brings it all together, they can make it a tight game. If Philly is able to just jump out and get ahead early, it could get bad. So I'm going to still say Washington. I'm going to fight for my boys.
All right, so I gotta present this question to you because I've been talking about it all week. I think 3 NFC East teams can actually make the playoffs this year. I definitely thought 2 were going to make it at the beginning of the year, Dallas and the Eagles. But I always said Washington could be that sleeper team. Do you think we can get 3?
Well, I mean, I guess if you consider the whole 7-team making it to the playoffs, and yeah, you could. I mean, coming into the season, wasn't thinking that. I still feel like 2 is what you're going to be looking at. Well, who would your top 3 be?
In the division or just overall?
In the division.
So right now I got the Eagles at 1, and I'm like you. I think Dallas is 2 just because of their win over the Bengals, but I think Washington's right there. I have to see Dallas and Washington actually play each other kind of the same way. I feel about Eagles and Dallas. Like, I don't think the Eagles own the NFC East until they beat Dallas. So I'm at that point where – but overall, though, with the way the whole NFC shaping out, just covering the league, I feel like you can get 3. Like, I feel like Washington's in that Saints-Cardinals tier where it's going to be close for that 7th seed.
Yeah, there's going to be some other divisions that kind of beat each other up enough, and there's a team from the East that kind of lingers around just enough, and then they can make their way into the playoffs. I mean, shoot, you know how the schedule makers do. They have the Washington schedule has like 5 division games or something in like the last 6 weeks or something ridiculous.
It sounds really weird.
Yeah, I mean that is rude. That's just not nice. It's tough. I mean, it is great for fans and being able to watch the game and understand that every game at the end of the year really means something. But my gosh, that is a brutal finish to the season. Just division game after division game.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Sunday's game is like the last NFC East game we'll see from Washington until November. I don't like that year. I know they did that with the Eagles for a lot of years. I think they do that with the Giants a lot.
Yep.
I don't know how to feel about it because sometimes it benefits you, sometimes it don't. And I still don't like the whole division game in the final week of the season for every team.
I do. I like it.
You like it.
I like it. I like it because it makes it mean something. It sucks whenever you turn on the game and it's like the 3:25 and it's between 2 teams who one's already clinched and the other team has already booked their vacation. And they're just playing their last bit. But whenever you have at least 2 division opponents, and at least it's a rivalry, there's something about that rivalry that still stays intact. And sure, it sucks to be like, hey, man, it's win or go home right now. But why not have win or go home when it's a rivalry game, man? What else could you ask for? What else could you ask for?
I do have to add this, though, because in 2020, the Eagles did play Washington on Sunday night, and they know if Washington won, they would get a better draft pick, and they would cost the Giants a chance at the East. And they kind of, I don't want to say they tanked, but they definitely didn't give it their all that game. And I was laughing because Giants fans were complaining about they cost us the division. I'm like, you were 6-10. You didn't deserve it.
Hey, man, I tell you, that year right there, it's like that was a wonky year all across the board.
Yeah, well, I still can't believe I covered the league in the COVID year. It's been 2 years now, and I don't know. It's that whole year from start to finish was just. I remember we couldn't even basically go to games. I remember like you were getting denied credentials for stuff because they're like, "Well, you're not vaccinated." I'm like, "Well, no one's vaccinated." It's really weird. I was afraid to even go places at that time.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine playing. I couldn't imagine playing in front of just empty stadiums like that. That just didn't seem right. And watching the game with empty stadiums, that didn't seem right. But hey, we've moved past that, and hopefully those times don't return.
Yeah, it's something we're going to be talking about 10, 20 years from now. Like, oh wait, that year.
Tell me about 2020, Grandpa's like, oh, sit down. Let me get you started.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we actually were shut in our houses for 2 months doing this stuff. Podcast.
Man, I tell you, what was your COVID habit that you picked up?
Man,
hopefully it was good. That's something that you don't mind sharing.
let's see. You know what I did? So I was always big on YouTube. I think I watched a lot of old NFL games during the whole thing because I was still
You did
working.
film study.
Yeah, I watched a lot of old 80s, 90s games because I grew up in the 90s watching, the old NFC rivalries and stuff. And I miss Pat Summerall and John Madden like crazy now.
Yeah. Some of the iconic voices of the game, man. It kind of makes you feel good, warms your heart when you hear those voices of Ed Sables and that NFL film music with the little I can feel it now, man.
Basically the voice of God talking to you. But yeah, like I would watch the old Monday Night Football games with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf, and I'm like, oh man, I just want to run through a brick wall. I want to go play in the NFL now, just for that. I don't care if I get killed. I just want to go out there and see if I can catch a pass against Deion Sanders or something crazy like that.
Man, I tell you what. Now I don't want to talk too loud, but that would be one hell of a fan experience to go about. Come on out here for a day of training camp practice.
Oh man, I'll tell you, I've seen what you guys. Everybody says you guys don't work hard. I'm like, I've seen it with Andy.
Who said that? Who said that?
Well, you got to hear the fans on these guys don't practice hard. I'm like, yeah, they do. They practice hard for an hour and a half. I'm like, you try running as fast as you can for an hour and a half, and you tell me how you feel. Yeah,
I'm okay. I am now. See, I got to get kids to school and stuff. We can't even get into that. Training camp is tough. I mean, getting in the league is difficult, and whenever you are there, it's even more difficult to stay. I mean, you got to think you're getting in the league, you're taking somebody's job, and then as soon as you're in the league, they're already looking at the next draft picks for the next year and the year after that, and other teams to take your job. So there's like very little job security. Right? You talk about players don't work hard, like that's crap. It takes you at least 22 years before you even get to the NFL. So don't disrespect the person by saying they don't work hard. Don't do that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Anthony, by the way, I got to let you go. I'm going to have you on again. We're going to talk so much NFC East this year. Pleasure you coming on. Is it Believe in Commanders or Believe in Washington?
Believe in Commanders on all your podcast networks, man. Check it out.
Yeah, check it out. The Bleed Network's good. I've been a guest on there for a couple of their shows. It's a good time. I'll just say that. So make sure to tune in to Believe in Commanders. Watch Anthony.
All right, man. Appreciate it, Jeff.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
You have a good one.
Yep, you too. All right, and I got to give my tribute to Joey McDonald. We're going to put a bow on the show right after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Welcome to Pondley Hockey. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give give Pond Lee Hockey a call.
Okay, guys. So I wanted to talk before we wrap it up here about the Amazon experience. How are you guys liking Prime Video and their NFL coverage? I think the coverage has been fantastic. Are you guys having buffering issues? Anything like that? I see that being talked about a lot on Twitter. The buffering or the delay, or the voice, the sound, the lips aren't matching the sound. You guys know what I'm talking about. I haven't had that issue. Of course, I'm watching the game on my iPad. I haven't been watching it on television. I've been watching it on an iPad. I've had a pretty good experience with it so far, but I don't know if I'm ready for the full streaming era yet. And this is a guy who has like 10 streaming apps, by the way. I don't think I'm ready for live games on there yet. And I know we're going to get it for the next 10 years, but I just don't know. It was tough for me, So between that, I was watching the West Virginia game, watching the Phillies last night. Yeah, I'm just, I don't know. I'm not a 2 TV room guy. I usually have my laptop, my TV, and my iPad, and I usually flip through them. So I can get by, but it was kind of tough watching the game on the iPad and the Phillies on the television last night. And again, I didn't have the buffering issue. So if you guys have had them, let me know. Drop it in the comment section. I haven't had it yet. I've had Sunday ticket issues though. I have Sunday ticket because I need to for my job. I'm watching games constantly all the time. And when Sunday ticket was out Sunday, I was like, what? Because I missed almost the whole second quarter of Ravens Dolphins. I got to rewatch it, obviously, but man, that's a game I sure went to, by the way. I won't be down in Washington this week. I don't like going to FedEx Field. I don't like the traffic there. It's going to be a long day. I will be. It looks like I'll be at Eagles Jaguars week 4. If not, I'm at Ravens Bills. So, yeah, that'll be interesting for sure. But again, my coverage on CBSSports.com. I'll have plenty of Eagles Commanders coverage this week. I'll write my overreactions, reality checks for week 3. One thing I learned from each team in week 3, that will be coming out Tuesday. Going to write a lot about the Giants-Cowboys stuff too, so you can check my work out there on CBSSports.com. I appreciate you guys tuning in to Good Morning NFC East all week. Glad to see you guys are liking the show, liking the conversations. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the JAKIB Sports family. Keep on commenting, keep on liking. Tell your friends about the show. We're down 19 episodes, man. I'm enjoying every bit of it. We've been a month into this show, and it's been a blast. So once again, my name is Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports, also with JAKIB Media. Again, Birds 365 with Joey McDonald, John McMullen coming up next. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.